This time, it's all about the neighborhood kid. Are you ready to face the fear?
When I was attending kindergarten, there was a girl in the neighborhood I often played with. My parents had never met her. You might think it's odd for a neighborhood kid, but it's true. Whenever I tried to invite her to my house, she would always find some reason to decline. Sometimes, while we were playing, she would suddenly say, "I have to go back home," and leave, and usually a few minutes later, her parents would come to pick her up. That was how things were. On the contrary, I have been to her house. It was a small, wooden house which, to put it bluntly, seemed less fortunate. I never met her parents either. Perhaps they were both working late, but every time I visited her house, no one was there. Towards the end of summer, as usual, while we were playing, she suddenly said, "I'm sad, but we can't play together anymore." I thought maybe she was moving, but when I asked, she gave vague answers and evaded the question. After a few back and forths, she said, "I have to go back now," and ran off before I could stop her. I thought maybe my persistent questioning had upset her, and while pondering this, I was picked up by my mom and went home. The next day, I couldn't shake off what happened, so I headed to her house. Thinking I should apologize if I had upset her, I arrived while lost in thought. The house was in ruins. The front door and windows were broken, and the small yard was overrun with weeds. The iron poles for hanging laundry were severely rusted, and peering inside through the broken entrance, I saw the tatami mats covered in thick dust. Clearly, no one had lived there for many years. This couldn't be right. I was sure it was her house, and I had visited just a few days ago. Too young to grasp the situation, I aimlessly wandered around the ruins. Deciding to enter through the torn entrance, I whispered, "Excuse me," and stepped inside softly. Since it was a small house, there were only 2 rooms divided by sliding doors and a small kitchen. The dilapidated house still retained the layout from the memories of playing with her. All the furniture was gone, but the positions of the pillars remained. On one of the pillars, there was writing with a permanent marker. Short horizontal lines that appeared to measure height. Beside it, her name was written in hiragana. This was definitely her house. Realizing this, I suddenly felt an overwhelming sadness and started crying uncontrollably. For some reason, the thought that I would never see her again felt absolutely certain. Thinking calmly, the situation was definitely abnormal. But as a child, I was just sad that I couldn't see her anymore, and I stood frozen, crying in the ruins for a while. That day, I couldn't bring myself to tell my parents what happened. A few days later, I lied and told them that the girl I always played with had moved away. My mom, seemingly not quite understanding, simply replied, "Oh, that's sad." Decades later, her face has become a blur in my memory. Yet, the memory of playing with her and our bizarre, dreamlike parting is something I think I'll never forget.
Do you all have experience playing with ghosts? The purity of children might easily attract mysterious things. But it's sad that such mystical experiences fade away as we become adults. Why not reminisce about childhood friends tonight and allow yourself to feel a touch of loneliness?